Pokémon Legends Arceus is awesome. I've put in close to 60 hours over the course of 3 days when it first came out, but how fast could I beat it using that experience? I'm a pretty new speedrunner, only having learned how to speedrun a couple of games, but I'm like really good at Pokemon. How good could I get at speedrunning the brand new Pokemon game before the leaderboard on speedrun.com opens up? Welcome to Speedrunning Simplified, the show where I, a speedrunning novice, learn to speedrun various games, so you don't have to. All with the hope of showing other newbies like myself that speedrunning doesn't have to be intimidating, and that anybody can learn if they want to. This, however, is going to be a much different task than usual. Normally, I use resources and guides built up over years of people speedrunning a game, but this time, I have to figure it all out by myself and see how I compare to others. As of right now, it's February 1st. The leaderboard opens for submission on February 7th. I have 1 week. Let's see what it's like to speedrun Pokémon Legends Arceus by myself. I hope you enjoy. So normally this would be the part where I go visit speedrun.com, see how other people speedrun a game, learn the route, practice, and then do a full run to get a feel for it. However, this game just came out. There isn't anything to go off of. That means for the first time, I have to come up with it all by myself, which I think should be pretty interesting. In speedrunning, this is a process known as routing. So far on the channel, I've learned how to speedrun Super Mario 64 and Minecraft, and in the past, in my personal time, I've learned how to speedrun Spyro 2 and 3. For games like Mario 64 and Spyro, really experienced speedrunners theorycraft and plan out the best route to tackle a game as fast as possible. And when learning, this is what makes a game easy to follow along with for a beginner. When I learned Super Mario 64 16-star, there was already an efficient route I could break down and learn from. I don't have that luxury for Pokémon Legends Arceus, so I thought it would be an interesting challenge and premise for this video for a speedrunning novice like myself to try and route a game with no outside help. And once the leaderboard opens for submission in a week, see how I was able to compare with others who have done this for a long time. This is gonna be quite the challenge, because Pokémon Legends Arceus is a pretty complex game when trying to go quickly. Like Minecraft, I'm gonna need to be able to think on my feet. The core of the game sees the player traveling around the Hisui region, quelling the frenzy of several different noble Pokemon. There are 5 different areas we visit throughout the adventure: the Obsidian Fieldlands, Crimson Mirelands, Cobalt Coastlands, Coronet Highlands, and the Alabaster Icelands. As you progress through the game, catch Pokemon, and complete research tasks, you gain points. These are used to rank up with the Galaxy team. You need to be at a certain star rank before being able to progress to the next area, meaning while we explore each area and quell the frenzy of each noble Pokemon, I need to be catching Pokemon and completing tasks to meet the threshold for the next rank so I can progress further in the game. In total, before I defeat the noble Electrode and leave the Coronet Highlands, I'll need at least 8,500 research points to enter the Alabaster Icelands, the final area of the game. For every research task I complete, I get 10 points, and 20 points for a double point task, indicated by the double red up arrows on the Pokemon's Pokedex page. For every Pokemon I get to research level 10, which would be the equivalent of getting 100 points worth from that Pokemon's research task list, I will be given a bonus 100 points, for a total of 200. I need 500 points to leave the tutorial section of the game, 1,800 to enter the Crimson Mirelands, 3,500 to enter the Cobalt Coastlands, 6,000 to enter the Coronet Highlands, and the aforementioned 8,500 total points to enter the Icelands. Despite being a Pokemon game, there aren't very many battles, so while a normal Pokemon game might see the player routing the fastest and most efficient way to beat certain fights, I'm going to focus solely on the research points needed to progress. I think that covers pretty much everything you'd need to know about what goes into routing Pokémon Legends Arceus. So let's see how I went about it. One thing I did do beforehand, and I'm very thankful I did, was join the Switch speedrunning Discord server for Pokemon. I still had full intention of doing this entirely by myself, but I joined to peek around a little bit, and I found something very useful. Discord user and speedrunner Corvame created an extremely useful tool to aid in routing Legends Arceus. So while I'd love to say I did this entirely by myself, her tool helped make it a lot more convenient. I'll be sure to link it in the description, as well as the speedrunning Discord server down below. This tool is a research point calculator. It lists every single Pokemon in the game and all of their research tasks. So I could go through the game, see the Pokemon I'm likely to pass by, and I can route a path to get the points I need, all while making my way through the game as normal. This was reminding me a bit of Minecraft speedrunning. There really isn't a right or a wrong way to do things. Nobody's going to know the best way to go about running this game for a while. Where will the best area be for completing tasks? Is it good to do a ton in the Obsidian Fieldlands, or just do the bare minimum and go hard in, let's say, the Cobalt Coastlands? Is it better to swap your party around a lot, using a bunch of different Pokemon and completing tasks that way? Which tasks are the fastest? Catching a ton of Pokemon, feeding them, using them in battle, knocking them out, evolving them, the list goes on. It's kind of hard to say. By just going off of my gut, I think it's going to be best to get as close to the bare minimum points for each area as you progress through the game as possible. Getting any more points than 8,500 in the end would be a waste of time, and by breaking it down into each area, it'll be easier to keep track of. As for specific tasks I think will be the quickest, I think any task involving feeding a Pokemon or stunning a Pokemon, as long as it's a double point task, are going to be the quickest, as you can feed the same Pokemon multiple times, and the same goes for stunning them. I decided to not change my party around very much in my route, only a few choice times, and instead the first few Pokemon I catch slowly completing their research level and their evolutions research levels throughout the course of the game. I decided to make this route around choosing Cyndaquil. I initially did this because it is the fastest of the 3 starters, but in this game that doesn't matter too much. But I found it to be fairly useful in certain battles in the game, so I stuck with it. To start, I did a full playthrough without a route, just going as quickly as I could. I was able to do this in about 8 hours, and took a ton of notes. From here, I started the routing process. This was a lot of trial and error, believe me. I'm not going to be able to include every single thought and process behind what I was thinking, but I tried my best to find Pokemon I could easily get to research level 10 for the bonus 100 points. Pretty much if I couldn't easily get it to research level 10, I would ignore it completely. These points were a lot to keep track of because there is a lot of variance. For example, I need 500 points to leave the tutorial section of the game. Along the way, depending on which character you're playing as, you follow Ray or Akari. So I tried to route in these 500 points while we make our way along the tutorial. Based on the route I came up with, I could either have 500 points by the time we leave with really good luck, or with no good luck, only around 300. This is because there are a lot of variables at play. Bidoof, Starly, and Wurmple are good examples. I get extra 10 points for every Bidoof I catch that is heavy, and an extra 10 points if I manage to get both a male and a female. The same can be said with Starly. 10 points if I get a male and a female. And with Wurmple, I get 10 extra points for every one that's considered to be light. Obviously, these elements are random, so I didn't want to write the route with these things having to happen, as it's unrealistic. So I need to have backups and keep track of everything that happens in my run. And this is where it can become quite complicated. Over the course of a several hour long game, keeping track of thousands of points and different variables of hundreds of Pokemon can become confusing pretty quickly. To move the absolute fastest, I need to get the bare minimum points. So if I get what I need prematurely, I need to know that as soon as possible. With this in mind, I tried my best to write my route with backups and easy point tallies in a notepad, so I could roughly keep track of where I should be at all times, making so I only had to focus on a couple of tasks at any given time. Using Corvimay's point calculator and Poke Earth on Cerebi, I mapped a course of where I'm most likely to go through each area, taking note of the Pokemon found there at all different times in the day, and did my best to find tasks I thought would be the quickest and easiest to complete, as well as look for other things to save time, such as realizing before Weird Ear, rolling is faster than simply running.
Rolling is faster than simply running.
Okay. Forget absolutely everything I've ever said about rolling is faster than running. I've got like 80 hours in Legends Arceus since the game came out. I didn't know you could run. Oh my god! I had no idea you could run fast. You can push down the left stick and f***ing run. There's no way! Anyways, I tried my absolute best to make a route that, in theory, should work and cover all of the scenarios I could think of. I felt confident in my route and was hopeful I could get around a 6-hour time with it. So let's see how I did. The timing method is still in discussion among the community, but it is currently start on language select and end on the fade to black before the credits roll, at the time of making this video. It takes around 25 minutes until we enter the free roaming stage of the Obsidian Fieldlands, but in that time, we choose our starter and fight Volo for the first time. We then catch a Bidoof, Starly, and Shinx for the tutorial. That brings us to the opening section of the game. We need 500 research points for star rank 1 to proceed further in the game. At this point, I should already have about 100 points. Here I catch 2 more Bidoof and catch 2 more Starly without being spotted. I then defeat a Weasel with an electric move, Shinx's Thunder Shock, and have Shinx use Quick Attack twice on a different Weasel and catch it. Here I catch 3 Wurmple without being spotted, and defeat a Wurmple with Cyndaquil's Ember, and then defeat a Starly with Cyndaquil's Quick Attack and Ember. I do a little bit of looking around for an Eevee, but since I didn't find one, I caught a Ponyta instead. I then withdraw a Weasel and a Wurmple, and attempt to get the remaining points by defeating Starly with Wurmple's Poison Sting and Shinx's Quick Attack. This part of the route is incredibly tight, and I routed it pretty horribly compared to the rest of the game. I tried to keep most of my tasks near the campsite, but I overestimated just how many Pokemon can spawn there. This takes far longer than I would have liked, but I managed to get exactly 500 points when I went to turn in. With a lot of the tasks that I did account for, my Cyndaquil, Wurmple, Shinx, and Starly are all now just evolving away from level 10, giving me nearly 600 points by using them on my team. I'm going to have these Pokemon for a while, as I also took account in me using their evolutions, having each stage hit research level 10. This is done by having Luxio use Thunderfang 8 times and Bite 3 times, Silcoon or Cascoon using Poison Sting 3 times, Beautifly or Dustox using Stun Spore or Poison Powder in the Agile or Strong style respectively 3 times, and Weasel using Aqua Jet 4 times, all through the course of the run. Once I defeat Ray, I unlock the move Tutor, and I teach my Starly Ominous Wind. Upon returning to the Fieldlands, I set the time to night to make Drifloon spawn. I catch 3 Drifloon and defeat 3 Drifloon using Ominous Wind. I fight Mai and her Munchlax, and catch 3 Kricketot, one of each gender, without being seen, and fed 2 of them, then making my way up the mountain and defeating Kricketune. Upon returning to the Fieldlands once more, I change the time to match whatever evolution my Wurmple evolved into. This was so I can catch one of them, in this case, Cascoon, to complete Cascoon's research. However, I was only able to find one, and I also needed to defeat one of them using Staravia's flying type move. While I'm here in the Heartwood, I also catch and feed 3 Baneri without being seen, as well as defeat 3 Psyduck with Luxio's Thunderfang, and then catch 3 Psyduck. This can be done in 2 parts. On your first visit to the Heartwood before fighting Leon, and on your second visit when you return to fight Cleavor. On the return trip, we unlock Weird Ear, and defeat Irida and Cleavor, leaving the Obsidian Fieldlands with 2,510 research points, putting me way ahead of schedule. By having at least 1,800 research points, we're able to get star rank 2, allowing us to go to the Crimson Mirelands. Upon visiting the Mirelands for the first time, I set the time to morning to spawn Badoo. I want to catch 1 Badoo without being spotted, and feed a Badoo 3 times. And on the way to deal with the Salacion Ruins, I need to stun 2 Carnivine, catch 1, and defeat 2 of them with the flying type move. Here is something I definitely should have changed from my route, involving everybody's favorite Pokemon in this game, Paris. I need to catch 2 of them, defeat 3 of them with Quilava's Ember, and then have one of them use Stun Spore. Getting one to use Stun Spore was a bit too much to ask. I ended up getting it to happen, but I should have just caught 2 more instead. On the way to the Sludge Mound, I catch 3 Tangela without being spotted, feed 2 Tangela, and defeat one with Quilava's Ember. And then catch 3 Hippopotas without being spotted, and feed 2 of them. And once we defeat and unlock Ursaluna, head north and unlock the fast travel to the Diamond Settlement before leaving and reporting to Kamado. Once we return to the Mirelands, I deposit B-Barrel for my Carnivine, and warp to the Diamond Settlement, and head south to find Arezu, warping back to the Diamond Settlement and heading north to the Brava Arena. On the way, I stun a Rhyhorn 3 times, catching one and defeating one with a Grass-type move, then defeating Lilligant and leaving the Crimson Mirelands with a total of 4,140 research points, putting me pretty much exactly where I need to be. By having at least 3,500 research points, we're able to get star rank 3, bringing us to the Cobalt Coastlands. The Cobalt Coastlands is the first point in my route where things went a bit wrong. Definitely some tweaking needed here. I set the time to night immediately and craft some Great Balls, emptying a spot in my party and then fighting Irida. To progress in the game later on, I'm going to need a Dusclops, so I decided to get Dusclops immediately upon coming to the coastlands. But in my route, I accounted for getting 2 of them. This was so while I used Shadow Ball 3 times, I could complete its entry. This ended up not being ideal, since I was only able to find a single Dusclops, wasting a good bit of time having to come back for a second one later on. After catching Dusclops, I warped back to camp and set the time to the opposite of what my Wurmple evolved into, feeding and catching 3 Glameow afterwards. I then feed 4 Spheal and catch 3 of them, and then catch 3 Skorupi and defeat 3 Skorupi, 2 of which with Quilava's Ember, and 1 of which with Dusclops' Shadow Ball. I then catch 2 Beautifly, the opposite to what I have, and then make a pretty big mistake. I'm supposed to feed a Vulpix 3 times, catch 1, and defeat 1. However, there were only 2 spawns, and the one I tried to defeat ran away, causing me to go out of my way later on. It's faster to use the second options when speaking with Polina. Once done speaking with her, I warp back to camp. I set the time to day, but I'm supposed to set it to night. I found this out afterwards. And withdraw a Beautifly or Dustox, the one that I just caught, and use Agile Stun Spore or Strong Style Poison Powder on the way to Iscan's house. It has to be nighttime when meeting with Iscan. If the game isn't, it will make it night. My route initially accounted for coming here during the day, so I can go catch Chatot afterwards. However, I didn't realize it changed the time to night. It didn't change all that much really, and instead of catching Chatot, I went and caught my second Dusclops, coming back after unlocking Basculegion to catch and feed 2 Chatot. I also empty 1 slot in my party and catch a Quillfish, putting it directly onto the team, making sure to use Strong Style Barb Barrage twice on the way up to the arena, catching 4 Mantike without being spotted and defeating 1 with an electric move, and then feeding 4 Shellos and catching 3 of them without being spotted, and then defeating 1. Leading with Quillfish, I fight Clover and her Abomasnow, defeating it with 1 final Strong Style Barb Barrage. I make sure to keep Quillfish alive and defeat Charm's Rhydon with its Water Pulse, defeating Arcanine and leaving the coastlands with 6,110 research points, just ahead of schedule. By having at least 6,000 research points, we're able to get Star Rank 4. With the final rank needed being 5, we only need 2,500 more points, and those we'll get in the Coronet Highlands. While I'm here, I need to make sure Staraptor uses Brave Bird 3 times and Air Slash 3 times, twice as a Strong Style move. Floatzel needs to use Water Pulse 8 times, 3 times as an Agile Style move, and Typhlosion needs to use Flamethrower 3 times, Infernal Parade 3 times, and 1 Agile Style move. I deposit Quillfish, Dusclops, and Luxray, and set the time to evening. Here things go wrong pretty quickly. I was meant to catch and defeat 1 Yanma without being seen, on the way to the Wayward Cave. But I struggle to catch 1, and they fly away as it turns to night. So I warp back to camp and set the time to evening to try again. However, none would respawn, and the Golbat from night would stick around. I wasted a lot of time on this, but I needed to set the time to day to get rid of the Golbat and then go back to evening. I wanted Yanma so I could use Ancient Power with it 1 time and evolve it for another complete entry. And in the Wayward Cave, I wanted to catch 1 Golbat at night, defeat 1, and have the one I just caught use Bite 6 times, then catching a Stantler outside to round my party off. After defeating Melly and his Skuntank, I was meant to catch 1 Bronzor without being seen and defeat 1 with a Fire-type move, and on the way to Ingo, feed 3 Teddiursa and catch 2 of them without being seen. However, I got really unlucky and wasn't able to catch any. This cost me a lot of points, and I did not have any backups. I make sure to lead against Ingo with Stantler and use Psyshield Bash in Agile Style 3 times, then unlocking Sneasler. I climb up to the area with the Alpha Gliscor, stun 2 Gligar and catch 2 Gligar, 1 of each gender, and catch 2 more Bronzor without being spotted and defeat 1 more with a Fire-type move. I catch 3 Nosepass without being spotted and defeat 2 of them, making sure to evolve 1 later on. We then catch a Scyther, replacing Yanmega with it when possible, using Agile Style X Scizor 3 times. I catch 2 Rhydon and replace Stantler with 1 when possible, using 1 Strong Style Double Edge. Finally catching 1 Voltorb and defeating 1 Voltorb with the Fire-type move. Everything should be good now. I haven't finished using all the moves I need to, so I make sure to do that once we beat Electrode. And while doing so, I realize Pokemon you've caught can disobey you, making it quite slow to use my Rhydon and Scyther. I'm just barely short of the 8,500 points needed, missing only 30. There were a few things in my route that I missed, such as the Silcoon from the Heartwood and the Teddiursa here in the Highlands, wasting quite a big amount of time. But I'm pretty happy with this route for coming up with it in just a day, leaving the Coronet Highlands and getting Star Rank 5 in just over 4 hours. At this point, the game had only been out for less than a week, and only a couple of people had a sub 6 6-hour time. I think with some tweaks and changes, I could make this route competitive if I wanted to. I think it had some pretty good stuff going for it. But we're not done quite yet. We're just done catching Pokemon. I found a fast way to tackle the Icelands would be to unlock the Pearl Settlement fast travel before chasing Sabby to unlock Braviary. This is useful in climbing to the Snowpoint Temple fast, as well as making it to Lake Acuity fast when returning for the Red Chain. My route was entirely focused on research points. I didn't optimize any of the battles at all. Sabby with her Rhyperior, Magmortar, and Electivire trio went really well with my Rhydon, but outside of that, every battle in the game was really slow. I think the biggest changes I could make to this route would be optimizing battles and changing my party more. Instead of carrying my early catches the whole game and using their moves, I think a run would benefit more from swapping the party around a lot and using their moves instead, making battles easier to optimize as well. I ended up finishing my first ever Legends Arceus run with a time of 5 hours, 30 minutes, and 54 seconds, using my timing method. As of the reading of this script, February 11th, 2022, the current world record for Pokemon Legends Arceus is 4 hours, 21 minutes, and 43 seconds by Oh Snap, and I currently stand 10th on the leaderboard. Nothing special, but I had a lot of fun trying this out. I am super happy with what I did. While my route isn't anything special, I was able to get a really good time right away, even having 4th place on the leaderboard when it launched on the first day. As some time has passed, several people eventually broke the sub 5 barrier, and there are much better routes to follow than mine. But the entire point of this challenge was myself as a Pokemon veteran and speedrunning novice to see how I could compare to others learning to speedrun the game entirely by myself. And I think I did pretty well. As time goes on, the game will become more and more optimized, as with any speed game, and I'm sure there is a lot about my route that was questionable, but I think there are probably some things in there that the top runners would think is a pretty good idea, and I'm super happy with that outcome. Legends Arceus is a really long game. I enjoyed it a lot, but I didn't have the motivation to do any more runs. However, I'm really excited to see how this speed game evolves over the next couple of months. If you want to try a Pokemon Legends Arceus speedrun out for yourself, I highly recommend joining the Switch Pokemon Speedrunning Discord. And if you enjoyed watching my experience learning and routing Legends Arceus, I'd really appreciate it if you left a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you can join me on my next speedrunning adventure. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you at the finish line of my next world record. What? What? I've never seen that! You're shitting!